I recently bought this 1993 Toyota pickup with the 22RE engine, a 5-speed manual transmission, and 4-wheel drive. When I got it, it had been sitting for 2 years with the engine in pieces, so I got to work, got it running and driving, but the interior is kind of beat up and it's not really an enjoyable experience to drive this thing. So we're going to change that by revamping the entire interior and making this thing as good as new. First things first, let's get it in the garage and figure out what we're dealing with. Now that I got this thing running and driving, I want to make the interior a little bit of a nicer place to be. Currently, the seat's ripped, there's no carpet, it kind of smells like rodent, which I don't love, and there's dash pieces missing and cracked. But we got a bunch of parts we ordered in, so we're going to jump in the cab and see exactly what we need to do to get this interior completely refreshed. Since it smelled kind of like rodent and I don't want that to persist past what we're doing today, we're going to be scrubbing the entire thing very thoroughly. I'm also going to take the dash apart and make sure I clean inside all of the vents and the blower motor so that anything that might have been in there isn't just getting circulated into the cab every time I'm using the heater. So let's talk about everything I ordered and acquired for this thing, then we can dig into getting this thing completely stripped down. Over here, I've got a few different parts we're gonna be putting on the interior that are gonna make a huge difference. This is the dash bezel. The one that's currently in the truck is cracked, missing plastic, and all around just ugly. It wasn't gonna work. This is actually out of a 2nd gen 4Runner, an early 90s 4Runner. It's got a very similar dash, and this should work, but I don't know for sure that it's going to work, but we're gonna find out. This is just a cheap new dash piece that I got that is the trim that goes around this dash bezel and is the transition to the dashboard itself. This steering column is also out of the same 2nd gen 4Runner this dash piece is out of, and I'm gonna use this clamshell that goes around the column itself as trim. And depending on how tough things look, I might even put this entire tilt steering column into the truck, because that would be a sweet upgrade. But I'm not exactly sure how easy that would be, seeing as I cut this one up so I could use it for parts for the Hilux. And then finally, this is an entire carpet kit. Nothing super fancy, is about $200 for that and about $30 for this. The other two parts I pulled off of a 4Runner I already had in my yard, and I think altogether, for about $250, the interior of this truck is going to look so much better. The easiest way to pull this interior part is going to be just to pull the seat out. That's pretty much all there is on the interior. It's just 4 bolts. We'll pop that right out. It'll give us a ton more room to work, and we need to pull it out to scrub it and install the carpet anyway. There's not work. Dang. A wrench. Healthy. The previous owner put these speaker boxes in, which is nice to have music, but it kind of sucks because they don't really fit in between the back of the cab and the back of the seat. And I'm about as big as you can comfortably be and drive a Toyota pickup, and every single inch of seat space is very valuable to me. So I'm probably either going to get smaller speakers for back here or just completely remove these. Oh, the center seat belt was buckled, and so it was literally strapping the seat down. There's so much trash under this seat. Oh my God, yeah, that's so cool. Ah, that makes me feel better. I honestly kind of thought I might find it in here. Finding the cord I lost under the seat was a really big plus. Look at all that trash. Oh, $1. Look. We've already made money on this truck. Score. That's cool. Especially because I don't plan on selling this one, so I'm probably not going to make money on it in the long run. Almonds and protein bars. Yeah, I bet you the mice got into the almonds. I'll take the $1 though. I don't know what to do about these speakers. I hate them. Like, if I can get them to fit, maybe. The one with the writing is positive. Pull these speaker boxes out of here for now. They might go back in, but since we're putting new carpet in this thing, I want as little stuff in here as possible. Oh no! if you were thinking about possibly taking a hammer to your truck for a speaker box, just stop. Stop. Don't do it. There's a better solution. What? It's okay. I will try my best to reshape that into something that can hold the jack, so the jack isn't just sitting on the ground. I'm honestly so sad about this. I think I have the rubber band that holds the tools in place. This thing has a factory toolkit, which is really cool. They're actually pretty rare. I hope it has all the tools in it. I haven't checked. But the factory tool roll is pretty rare. Yeah, it looks like it's got everything. That is cool though. I don't think I've ever seen a factory tool roll in a truck that I bought. I've owned a few Toyotas. 4Runners, Tacomas, but not trucks. Now that I got the seat removed from this thing and it all vacuumed out and it's not quite so gross to work in here, I'm going to start pulling this dash apart. I'm going to start by getting this entire dash trim piece out that I'm going to be removing. And then we'll start seeing if the one from the 4Runner is a direct replacement or not, as long as everything fits decent. Unfortunately, I don't think the tilt steering column is going to be a direct replacement, mainly because I had to cut this blind part that actually goes to the steering shaft off in order to get the Hilux steering completely dialed in. So we're probably just going to take the clamshell, and there might be an extra hole where the tilt adjuster is that we won't have on this truck. You can see that squirrel cage in the blower motor is completely chocked full of what looks like a mouse house. So we're going to go ahead, pull the blower motor out, clean all that up, and then vacuum all of these ducts out as best as we possibly can. I don't really want to strip the entire dash out of this thing, but I am willing to go as far as I keep finding more rat's nest stuff. So part of having an old car and part of living in the mountains is you kind of deal with rodents. This sucks. Oh, they're Star. They're not Phillips. Of course they are. Come on, we're so close. Oh, we got it finger tight now. All right, now let's see how much disgusting stuff is. Hold me up. Oh, yep. That is definitely a mouse nest. So we're gonna vacuum everything out nice and thoroughly and get this thing a lot less disgusting, because currently it's supposed to be about 0 degrees tonight, and this thing, well, I didn't use the heater because every time we turned it on, stuff flew out of the vents and it smelled like mouse. I can't have that. I won't have a car that smells like mouse. That's just not acceptable, especially in winter. Hot mouse air blowing on your face, disgusting. So let's get this cleaned up. I got the ducts all blasted apart. We've got everything shot vac out as best as we possibly could. I even put a small extension onto the shot vac so we could get further into the air ducts. So now, since we've got everything vacuumed out, it's time to start bleaching everything. All of the air ducts and everything I can reach is going to get bleach. Then we're going to clean the entire dash up with some all-purpose cleaner and start putting things back together. Once the dash is together, then I will move on to trying to get the carpet in. We are going to be bleaching the floor from front to back. As I kept cleaning out the blower motor area, I kept finding more and more mouse remnants of stuff. So I pulled the little duct that goes between the blower motor and the heater core out. That's what fell out, and there's more in there. So we're gonna be vacuuming that some more and then bleaching even more of everything that we can possibly reach. I got everything in the ducting and on the dash cleaned out, the clusters cleaned off, the dashboards cleaned off, and every single piece of ducting that was either out or accessible got completely cleaned out with bleach, and then I used some all-purpose cleaner for the dashboard and washing everything as best I could, including the steering wheel, which was pretty nasty. So it's time for me to start putting this thing back together. We've got this dash piece and the instrument cluster bezel. I don't know if the bezel is going to fit perfectly since it's out of a 4Runner. There are a couple small differences. If you look at the one out of the truck, it's got all of these holes that I believe are to hold screws into this bezel piece. And the one from the 4Runner doesn't have that. The one from the 4Runner is just smooth. So I don't know if this is going to work because there's no screw holes on this one. I'm going to try and install it, and as long as everything looks good and seems to hold together, I won't have any issues with it. It's just one of those minute differences I didn't really expect to see. I was looking at these cup holders, and I noticed that the one on the dash I'm installing doesn't have those little metal holders to prevent it from overextending. So I'm going to go ahead, wash the one up that was already out of the truck, and swap it over to the new dash piece. I believe this piece goes on first, but I don't know for sure. I'm going to set this piece on, and then I'm going to try and clip the dash bezel into place afterward. Again, don't know for sure that this is how this goes. I am just guessing, but it looks like it'll click in. It's pretty unfortunate. This dash does not seem like it's going to be a direct swap over. First thing I'm noticing is that there's a clip on the back of the dash right there that has no hole to go into. And there's one on the other side that does the same. So I'm actually going to clearance for those little clips and see if that helps. I'd like to use this dash if possible. The other one's in multiple pieces now and kind of missing a bunch of plastic. And if I have to modify the dash itself to get this one in, that's okay, as long as it covers everything and looks good in the end. I ended up using a razor blade and a torch, heating it up and precisely cutting exactly where I needed to. Every other tool I had was far too large to fit in these small locations and precisely cut what I needed to cut. Unfortunately, I have found out that this top trim piece for this dash is good for the dash, but is not good for this bezel piece because the 4Runner and the pickup ones are just slightly different. So I actually had to modify behind on the dash support just a little bit for these buttons that are a little higher than they were before. And also over here, I had to clearance for one of the clips that has nothing to go into. And now everything seems to fit. This top trim piece is far from perfect. There's gap there that I don't love, but that's okay. It looks a ton better than having the pieces missing and chunks of this missing. Nothing's cracked, and it all went together. I actually broke out the heat gun so I could try and help form this a little bit, and it didn't help a ton. It's just so cold out today that I couldn't get any sort of heat to maintain in the plastic before it just got cold and then less pliable again. But pro tip, if you ever got one of these switch blanks that just keeps falling out, use a heat gun and bend the tabs away from each other just slightly. Make sure you got it nice and hot. And then it clips in nice and tight, not going anywhere, and looks good as new. I'm just gonna continue putting things back together, get all of the bottom trim back on, and hopefully we'll be able to get the carpet in sooner than later. One thing I've noticed is every time I deep clean a car, it ends up being dirtier than I expected it to be. And you don't notice that until you really get the before and after effect of actually cleaning it and seeing how much stuff was built up that you didn't even notice or realize was there. Holy cow. I got the dash back together and it looks so much better. It's not perfect. There's some small fitment issues, different places, but considering this was $30 and I already had the bezel trim and I made that work, I'd say that's a great $30 upgrade. Also, this looks so much better. We've got nice trim over it. It doesn't have the adjuster for the tilting steering wheel because the steering wheel doesn't tilt, but it looks so much better. It's just so much more complete and feels like a proper truck. I also went ahead and wiped the entire floor down with bleach, wiped the back down with some multi-purpose spray. It looks so much better, just cleaned up, and we're about to start laying carpet in here. I'm excited to see how this looks once we get some carpet down. So let's go check out the carpet, see how that looks. Auto custom carpet. So here's our carpet kit. I got black carpet. The reason being is that I just wanted it to kind of blend well with anything, and black blends well with pretty much anything. And it was the cheapest color option. So let's get it out, get it rolled out in the truck, and see what we're working with. This seems slightly long, but we'll find out, I guess. Knowing how important the carpet is to the overall feel of the truck and the look of the interior, I wanted to make sure I went above and beyond to make this fit as well as I possibly could. I wanted this to be as close to perfect as I could possibly make it, and I wanted the holes and any alterations I had to cut into the carpet to be where they needed to be, so this could look as professional as possible while still remaining a budget project. The biggest part about making sure this carpet was in the perfect location and looked as good as possible was the holes around the shifter. There were a lot of different ways I could have done it, but I just wanted it to be as tight and clean as possible, so I spent a ton of time meticulously cutting, trying to be as precise as I possibly could. After the shifter holes were cut, it laid down pretty quick, and then we got up into the footwells where it did need quite a bit of trimming. They sent this carpet extra long, trim to fit, and it took a bit of time to get everything exactly perfect. Then we could move on to trimming both sides, getting the door trims on, and we're pretty much there with a finished carpet kit. We got the carpet just about in. I started with the shifter holes just because those are the ones that were going to be the most tedious and I wanted to look the best, and they're kind of going to dictate the entirety of the rest of the carpet. So I did my best to make sure that those were as optimal as possible, and then from there it went pretty smooth. I just laid it as flat as I could onto the floor and started getting everything cut. And I even left a little bit extra in the back. It folds up over the back of the cab. I figure more sound deadening is better than not enough. But we're just about ready to throw the seat in, so I'm going to get that cleaned off to the best of my ability, just like everything else we've pulled out of this truck and are putting back in. And then that'll be just about it for an interior refresh. Then we'll be able to take it for a drive, see how the heat works, and see how the carpet does for dampening road noise and overall insulation. I am so pleased with how this interior came out. It looks so much better. Every single aspect of it, from the dash that's not missing plastic and cracked, to the carpet that's there and using it for sound deadening and aesthetics and everything. We do need a seat cover and some floor mats in this thing. That would really tie everything together. But for now, this is a major upgrade, and I think it is going to be a ton more enjoyable to drive. So we're gonna go take it for a test drive and see how it does. I'm kind of sad I didn't get a good solid before in here of audio and how loud it was, but this thing is so much more enjoyable to drive. Between the everything being clean, all of the trim being there, and the carpet adding sound deadening and just looking good and not looking like garbage. The floors just looked bad. They were dirty too, which didn't help, and the seat was dirty and there was trash under everything. All in all, considering it took 1 day and $250 or so, I am thrilled with this. We're gonna go see if we can find a seat cover for this thing at the local parts store. Who knows? I also found some like random floor mats and I just toss them in here. So maybe I'll order a nice set of like WeatherTechs or something that'll cover everything nice. And heat on high doesn't smell horrible and it's not that loud. I mean, it's as loud as a normal heater is on high, but heat doesn't have any issues. It doesn't smell like mouse. Honestly, that's the part I'm most excited about. It's freezing and windy outside right now, and I get to actually drive this thing and enjoy it, and I'm not bundled up and freezing. This thing is so much better. That's about it for this video. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing, and I sure hope to catch you on the next one.